Greetings, everyone. I'm Dianne Thomas, and welcome back to my Certified High Performance Coaching Training Series in support of Dianne's CHPC Re-Certified Project 2017. It's an online crowdfunding campaign hosted at Generosity by Indiegogo. It was created and launched on April 17th to help me raise the funds I'll need to recertify as a certified coach in June. Now, the campaign runs through May 26th. There's a link below to get you connected with the campaign, either as a contributor, thank you so much, or as a partner, because I'm still seeking goods and services that I can offer as incentives to people who visit the site. So hopefully you can participate with that. Now, this training series is accompanying this campaign through May 26th, and I put it together to offer to you, to give you a glimpse inside what certified high performance coaches do and use to get their clients to higher levels of achievement. And it's all based on the 5 pillars of high performance, which are clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence. And I've been adjusting each one of those pillars Monday through Friday during this training series. On Monday, we cover clarity, Tuesday, energy, Wednesday, courage, Thursday, productivity, and Friday, influence. And today is Friday, so it's Happy Fitting Influence Friday, and I've created a little tag name around it because to help you remember it, hopefully, but also to let us, to remind us that we really do need to pay attention and make deliberate efforts to be thoughtful in terms of the influence and the impact that we're having on the lives of the people around us. I think it's something that we're going to do anyway as we show up in any space that we're in, and so we need to think more and be more conscious about the impact that we're leaving on the people that we're engaging with, and in a way to help them as well as help us. So what I have been going through over the last few weeks, just giving you a back reminder in terms of what influence is. It originates from the Italian word influenza, which we know as flu, but it means to flow into. And we use that term interchangeably, so we can be influenced as well as we can influence other people. So it's something that can be shared, a contagion, so to speak. Now, what I have been talking with you about over the last couple of weeks are some questions to ask yourself in terms of determining how influential you are or what you can do to become more influential. And we were looking at 3 particular areas around influence. First, in terms of our thoughts as regards critical thinking. Next, as it regards the challenges that we receive from people that we are influenced by, or those that we issue to the folks that we are trying to get to higher levels. And also then as regards the way we're showing up and how we're demonstrating in terms of making impacts in people's lives to transform and transcend their situations. So what I had mentioned in the past couple of videos that we have, I guess you could say, was that we were looking at 3 particular questions around influence. The first one was, who would you try to influence to think a certain way, and then what would they need to believe to think that certain way? The other question was, who would you need to, if you could give them some help in terms of moving them towards a bigger goal, a bigger aspiration for themselves, and then why do you think that goal or aspiration would be good for them? And then the third question would be, what would you need to show or demonstrate about yourself to be more influential with this person or group of people that you're thinking about talking to? And so we'd covered those in previous videos. Today we're going to look at the final question again. What would you need to show or demonstrate about yourself to make yourself appear or to be genuinely more influential in people's lives? Now, I've been reading a book called The Leadership Challenge, and the authors, James Kouzes and Barry Posner, this is the 5th edition of this book. It's been out for a couple of decades at least now. And what they've done is traveled the world and gathered stories or direct accounts or case studies around what makes good leaders. And as we know, leaders are very influential people. They're leading in their homes, they're leading in their communities, and they're leading in their their businesses. So when we hear any references through any of these influence videos, you can just apply them. It's more about what you are and how you're showing up as opposed to what setting you're in. So if you're at home, you're wanting to be more influential at home, more influential friends, more influential with colleagues. That's how we're going to use and apply these concepts. Now what they'd come up with was determining, in terms of this research that they were doing, what made a good or effective leader. And they found that credibility was like at the top of the list. It was a foundational principle that all good leaders possessed. And there were particular attributes around credibility that were top of mind to people that they had interviewed in terms of the aggregate. They were honest, they were forward-thinking people, they were competent and inspiring. And so they've used these case studies and first accounts to illustrate then what they then devised as the 5 practices of exemplary leadership. And these practices are having a shared vision, challenging the process, enabling others to act, encouraging the heart, and modeling the way. Now, as you remember, modeling the way is one of the concepts we were talking about in terms of influence, and certainly as we're talking today about what you need to demonstrate about yourself, because it fell right in line with this. And so I thought what I'd do is take this look now through the perspective of the authors of this book, The Leadership Challenge, in terms of bringing this concept to you today. Now, as you may remember, I have mentioned over a number of videos that I had created for myself a value set that I have been living my life by. And when I came across using Certified High Performance Coaching, it was a perfect blend of the pillars along with those particular value sets that I held. And the value sets were around continuous improvement, lifelong learning, and personal responsibility. And the authors do also recommend or find that the most effective leaders have some personal values or value set of standards and practices and ethics and ideals that drive them forward, that helps to build that authenticity and makes it easier for them to lead. It's because they're coming from a place of expressing who they are. They're able to express their voice. They're able to speak their truth and their value. And in the case of one individual that they've mentioned in the book, this person used those values when they were in communication with their staff, and let their staff know these are values that are important to me. When you see me working, whatever conversations I'm having with you about the work, that's where I'm coming from. It was an all-encompassing. It's who that person was, and that person was bringing those values to the workplace. So it helps you to craft a message that is authentically yours. It speaks to who you are. And because it's important that people understand what your values are, and that they need to see that you demonstrate it in your action, not only in what you say, because you have to live your values as you are teaching others to meet these value expectations in terms of modeling what you would like to see them do. Now, the authors then recount a story of a plant manager who had as a shared value not only his personal value, but it was a value of the organization, because a lot of organizations, as you know, they often even post their values in their lobbies so people see. So one of the values that this company had was to have a clean plant. And they were having some challenges around the consistency of how that happened, because it ended up being where they would only really get focused on that when they were having a visitor come through. But he wanted to, as in the case of all high performers, get to a level of their best, whatever the best is for that organization, and stay there, not drop off when things were at a lull or pick back up just because somebody was coming to visit. So what he did was, one day he decided he would take a wastebasket from his office and conspicuously walk around each section of the plant and pick up trash. And he would have this full basket of trash, and then he would dump it. Everybody would see him dump it, and then he'd go back to his office. And so he did this every day for several weeks. And over time, the other managers in the plant were beginning to do the same thing. They would start collecting trash. They were collecting trash from their general areas, because I'm sure they were like, gosh, this looks really bad for the boss to be coming through all the time picking up trash. We need to not even have that be an issue. So let's make sure we're keeping our area clean. And over time, he found he had to do less and less of picking up the trash. He was still making his rounds, but there'd be less and less trash for him to get. And on the days there was no trash at all, he would praise them and give them compliments for how well they're keeping the place. And they had taken it so seriously that some of them had even adopted some of the machines to make sure that they were keeping clean and, you know, looking good, just in case, but even more so as from a position of personal pride in their space. And so the idea behind that was really how the impact of that really was what influencers want to be able to promote when they are working with groups and trying to get them to do things. They want, because people want to follow folks who do what they say they're going to do. There was this expectation, and then they wanted to be able to meet it. And certainly by seeing the leader take the lead with that, it made it much easier for them to move through that. This individual chose to model the way. He spoke his values, and then he taught others to affirm them by emulating what he was doing. And in that way, the manager became incredibly powerful and influential without saying a word to anyone. Now, people want to feel as if the person they're following is taking them in a place that's gonna be safe. They obviously have to have some certain levels of respect and trust with this person to follow this person. And the reason that they're able to do that is because they see this person not only saying what's important to them every day, but they're actually doing it as well. So in setting that example, then they're demonstrating to whom they're trying to persuade who they really are. And through doing this, the authors note that there are a couple of things that you can do to really establish a foundation of trust and influence in terms of focusing on leading. And certainly, as we were just talking about, they look at the way you spend your time. People watch that, and they want to make sure that the way you spend your time is exactly what you say. So in other words, your actions match what you say. The repeating exactly what it is you hope to see and manifesting a level of energy and feelings behind it also is very important, because people want to see, again, that there's some consistency. So it's something that you're saying all the time. People are seeing it and people are hearing it and able to help create for themselves, yes, this person, understanding this person is serious about what they're talking about. They're also, in terms of the influence part on your part in terms of persuasion, is that you need to ask for feedback. Now, whatever thing you want to institute, it shouldn't be something arbitrary. Ask for some feedback about how to get it better, or maybe even tweak some things if it needs to be, and then act on the feedback. Don't just ask for it and not act on it. and affirm the behavior that you want to see exemplified in terms of shared vision and shared values. If you want to build more intimacy with people, the trust in your relationships is critical. And that means that you have to express and demonstrate trust, vulnerability, consistency, and shared values. Because as a leader in any setting whatsoever, there are people who are watching you. And you want to model the way for them to go so that not only can they do those things, but they can serve as influencers and models for others as well. So, high achiever, what are some of the things that you think you can do in terms of demonstrating who you are in an authentic way that will encourage people to model what you're doing and develop the kind of relationship with you that you could then use to be more influential and persuasive with them? I hope that you're taking these challenges to heart and you're really thinking about ways to help improve the way you show up every day in terms of the high performance levels that you want to improve and increase on. And because I certainly think that these opportunities that you have in quiet moments, you can sit and take a moment to look at some of the things that you can do, and hopefully this is being of some service to you. I certainly hope so anyway. And please then, if you would be open to doing so, share the impact, share your feedback with us through these varying mediums so that we can have a conversation back and forth, and so other people can benefit from what's happening with you, because I'm sure it will help someone. So until next time, have a fabulous Fitting Influence Friday, and thank you so much for participating.